Hey, what's up, guys? So it's that time of the year. We're at the end of mango season. Not much coming through anymore. So I think I'm ready to do my top 10 of the year. We do have this Maha Chinook off my tree that I picked 3 days ago. I picked them actually mature green because the other Maha that matured on the tree got destroyed by birds, and I didn't want to take that chance. So when I when I snapped them off the branch, it actually, squirted out a little bit of sap. So it was definitely could have hung a few more days. But check this out. I picked it on the 17th. Today's the 21st, or maybe the 22nd. And it's ready. Like, the aroma is incredible. So it didn't take very long to ripen. See what it looks like on the inside. Super juicy, perfectly ripe. So that's nice. That goes to show you, like, sometimes, like, I'll buy mangoes online and they'll take 12 days, sometimes to ripen up. So makes you think how much earlier those are picked. Smells amazing. Really sweet mango smell. The aroma on the stem was actually super floral, like super strong. Let's get into this list here. I'll start at number 10. So number 10 this year was the Julie mango. Super complex. Like, the Julie has very interesting characteristic where it's like extremely creamy. So it's almost like milky and buttery and like maybe even sappy as you're eating it. Absolutely incredible mango. Like, super complex flavor. Depending on when you cut into it, the flavors can change. Sometimes you get a little bit more spice, sometimes you get a little bit more like of a coconut thing. But I had maybe 4 or 5 Julies, and they're not as consistent. So unlike some mangoes that are very consistent, the flavor on the Julie is a little bit more dependent on maybe when it's picked and also when you decide to cut into it. So that's nice. Homegrown mangoes definitely hit a little bit different. Maha Chinook is not been very consistent this year, but this one's at least very sweet. It doesn't have a whole lot of complexity, but the breaks on it is really nice. Okay, so number 9 was a mango I haven't tried this year. I haven't tried at all before this year. The Zill 80, and as I understand, the Zill 80 is a parent of mangoes like Fruit Punch and maybe even Edgar, I think. Can't remember now, but it's along that line of mangoes that are somewhat classically flavored with like hints of spice and hints of resin. I was really good. I was super impressed by that mango. The texture on it is exactly what I want out of a mango, like super fiberless but firm. It doesn't completely fall apart in your mouth. Super sweet, spicy. It had that resin undertone. That was a really good mango. Zill 80. Number 8, and you see me looking down because I have my list here, but number 8 was Edgar. Wow, what a crazy sweet mango. I want to say probably one of the highest Brix mangoes we had this year, and also really long season. We had tons of Edgars. They're super rich. They're complex. The only downside to Edgars, I would say, is that if you let them over ripen a little bit too much, they start to get a little bit of a carry thing. But the positive thing is that even as they start to get the carroty flavor, they still remain their sweetness. So unlike something like a Alfonso mango, where when it starts to get that carroty taste, it really starts to lose its sweetness, so it's very vegetable like. The Edgar retains all of its sweetness, so it was very good, very high Brix mango. That's number 8. Number 7, we have fruit punch. That's one that was a banger all year long. It's a big mango. It's super sweet, rich flavor. It's got that resin in the background that just like it makes it so much more than just a classically flavored mango. All these like fruity flavors going on in there, and it's so consistent. Like from the beginning of the season when we started having them all the way to the end, they were absolutely amazing every time. Fruit punch is number 7. Could have been higher on the list, but some of these mangoes you gotta put them somewhere. Number 6 was one that I didn't get to have too many of. I only had 2 of this year, but it was amazing both times. The CAC, that's always a winner every year. Super complex, sweet, great texture. It's one of those mangoes that makes you think like it's not one of the newer fancier name mangoes. It's been around like for God knows how long, and it's just it can be a number 1 mango any year. Super good. I'm not talking too much about the trees, just flavors here, but I'll mention CAC. It's a super good producer. It is a large tree though, so you have to be careful if you're trying to keep your height and width on your trees down. So now we're gonna get into the top 5. Before we do that, I'm gonna have a little bit more of this Maha Chinook here. What a long slice of mango. This Maha has like a little bit more fiber than most Mahas. And I wonder if that has something to do with it being grown in a pot. Maybe it has a little bit too much nitrogen in the pot or something. The Brix is really high on this, so I'm happy about that. Check out that seed, guys. It's paper thin. So, all right, number 5, Phoenix. That's just a flavor bomb. Super spicy and complex, decent texture, very sweet mango, like super high Brix. It's kind of small, so it does have that not going for it, and it's not as consistent. But when they're on, man, they're hard to beat. They're very good. Phoenix mango is my number 5. So my number 4 is, oh, that's another one that I had for the first time this year that absolutely blew me away. That's the apricot mango. Out of all the mangoes I had this year, the apricot one was the one that like punched you in the face the most. The tart on it was so high, but the Brix was even higher, and every time that first bite was always like, oh wow, it's like it really wakes you up. That was an absolutely amazing mango. Super flavorful, super tart and sweet, absolutely incredible. I didn't think that, I had a few where I didn't pick up that apricot flavor, but I had a couple that I did, and it was so good. I would have never guessed you could get like apricot out of a mango. Super good. The again, smaller mango, so kind of left you wanting for more, I'm not gonna lie, and not very consistent. They're all good, Unlike some other mangoes we had this year, where like I had some that were really good and some that were terrible. The apricot was always pretty good, but when it was good, like really good, it was like really, really good. So apricot's number 4. Number 3 is always in the top 10 for sure, no matter what, every year. Orange sherbet, incredible mango. They have an like impressively long season. We ate orange sherbets for a while, and a lot of them. So the guy who I get my mangoes from either has a lot of orange sherbet trees, or his orange sherbet trees are very productive, because I think there was a couple boxes where it was like predominantly orange sherbets. They're super good. Well, one thing I will say about orange sherbet, and this goes for most mangoes, but it's very prominent in this mango, is that earlier in the season, they're good mangoes. They can get into the 8s consistently. They're enjoyable, but because orange sherbets kind of lack complexity, they really rely on the bricks to make them that wow, mango. They're much better later in the season, like much better. Where like like the last part of the season, the orange sherbets that I had, they were bricksing in the 28 to 29 range. They were absolutely incredible. Like, hard to believe how sweet those fruits were. They were very consistent. Like every single one you ate was good. That's gonna make, for me, that's super important. So very clean looking mangoes. And what's interesting too about orange sherbets is that they last very long. You put them in the fridge and eat them a week later, and they're incredibly sweet, incredibly tasty mangoes. Super deserving of being in the top 3. I don't think anybody's gonna dispute that. Orange sherbet is absolute banger. Especially if you had an orange sherbet this year and you weren't super impressed, I'm willing to bet it was probably earlier in the season, or it was just not picked properly. But if you had one later in the season, all the ones I had, and I had dozens of them, were incredible. Super good mangoes. Okay, so top 2, here we go. Number 2 is a Gary mango. There's a reason why Gary Zell used it as the parent in so many of his later creations. It's got everything going for it flavor wise. It has incredible sweetness, incredible complexity. Sometimes it's citrusy, sometimes it's coconutty. It's a pleasure to eat every time. Flavor wise, they're always on point. I ate so many of them this year and they were all delicious. And they have a large window of when you can eat them. If you eat them a little bit too early, they're fine. They're just more citrusy. If you eat them later, they're different but still good. They're very complex mango. Super high bricks on them, right up there with orange sherbet some of the time. The downside is that they're small, but if you can get a lot of them like we did, it's fine. And the other knock that I would give them is the texture is not great. It kind of falls apart a little bit as they get riper, but the flavor makes up for it. They're incredible. And if you guys have been watching my videos, you'll probably know what my number 1 mango is. I'm not sure that anything's gonna beat this mango. It just has everything that I like in a mango. It's got the profile that I like, the sweetness that I like. It's a larger mango, which is nice. The texture's good. Clean mango that produce well, but the flavor is what we're going off here, and this is by far my favorite tasting mango as of right now. Maybe next year it'll be different. Super Alfonso. There's no words. Complexity for days, sweetness for days, great texture. It's got literally everything. It's got a little bit of a sub-acid. It's got a little bit of that like Indian spice. It's got a little bit of coconut. It's just a mind-blowing mango. I had 2 of them this year, and both of them were right up there with the best I've had all year long. Incredible. Super Alfonso. What an absolutely amazing mango. That's my list. I'm going to mention a couple of disappointments for the year. And mind you, these are still within the, best mangoes of the year, but I think it's worth noting, and for me, it'll be good to reference back to lemon meringue. Super disappointed this year. Most of them were washed out. Very little intensity to them. I think I had 1 out of maybe 10 that I had that was okay. It wasn't even amazing. So I was disappointed by lemon meringue. Mahashanuk was very inconsistent. There was a couple that were good, and then there was quite a few that were bad, like legitimately bad, like a sewer type texture, flavor to them. They went straight in the garbage. That was kind of disappointing. Sweetheart, I didn't have a large sample size, but I think 2 that I had, just not good. Don't deserve the hype that they get. Maybe sometimes they're amazing. I've had really good ones. I've never had one that blew my socks off, but you can't be one of the best mangoes if you're not consistent, in my opinion. Yeah, I'll say that. If you are amazing 1 out of 10 times, you can't be in the top 10. You just can't. It's, especially if you're a consumer like me, or like many of you guys that are getting to try only a few of that variety per season. So if you have a tree and then you have 100 fruit and 10 of them are absolutely mind-blowing, maybe it's worth it for you. But yeah, I also, a lot of this, I think, we've beat this horse, but a lot of these mangoes are super dependent on when you pick them too. So when you cut into them. So maybe if you're growing the tree and you know exactly when to pick them, maybe 90 of those 100 fruit will be good. But yeah, I just haven't had a great one. And the other one, which this isn't the first year it happens every year, lemon zest can either be the best or not the best. Sometimes it's absolutely incredible. Most of the time it's not. When you get an incredible one, you're like nothing can beat this. But most of the time it's not. It's just an okay mango. So those are the kind of disappointments for the year. But overall, it was a great season. I had a lot of mangoes. I ate way more mangoes than I was expecting. 2026, if you're watching this in the future, was a terrible year as far as the cold front that we had. Here in Orlando, pretty much all the trees that weren't brought indoors died, or severely died back all the way down to a stump. And even in South Florida, a lot of the crops were affected. So I didn't think we were going to eat many mangoes this year, but surprisingly we did. We ate a ton of mangoes, a lot of very good ones, and I'm already looking forward to next year. So if anything else does creep in later in the season, I'll make sure to review it, but I'm pretty sure the season's over now. It is 21st or 22nd of August, so shorter season than usual. I've eaten mangoes well into October before, but it looks like it's pretty much wrapped up for now. So all right, y'all, thanks for watching. Comment down below and let me know what your favorite mango of the year was, and what your least favorite mango of the year was. All right, take it easy. Bye.